There are currents in your own home that nourish a sense of unease. Not because of any curse, but through the holding of energy, a force that anchors you to yesterday, a presence that depletes your vitality, disturbs your rest, muddles your clarity, and subtly, almost without notice, erodes your resolve. You move past them each day. A damaged heirloom from a person now absent from your life. A piece of art that once felt inspiring, but now makes a room feel heavy. Gifts you hold onto from a sense of obligation. These are objects that carry a history, but they do not carry calm. Ancient wisdom teaches a simple truth: inner quietude begins with outer order. When your environment is in disarray, your own mind cannot find its center. This goes beyond simple tidiness. It touches on meaning. Things can be vessels for stagnation, old sorrows, emotions you believed were long gone. These become quiet invitations to what some might call our inner struggles. Disquiet, frustration, and a weight of thought that appears without a source. Today, we will explore which objects can disrupt the harmony of your space and how to release them, not from a place of fear, but from a space of deep awareness. I will offer timeless insights, understood by those who practice a life of stillness, uncomplicated observances, clear truths, and a single, profound guideline that anchors the mind against disturbance. By the time this journey concludes, you will perceive your own rooms through new eyes. You will grasp why certain things can drain your spirit, and how letting them go is not merely an act of cleaning. It is an act of course correction for your own path. If you feel bound, restless, or unfocused, this is your starting point. At times, the adversary you must first confront is not found in the world. It resides silently upon your own shelf. Follow this path and let the clearing of your spirit begin. Some things register a certain density before your hands even make contact. You step into a space and feel a subtle shift. The reason eludes you, but a tension gathers in your shoulders. Your breathing becomes shallow. The very quiet seems to hold a charge. This is not a trick of the mind. It is presence, it is life force, and every single thing holds it. Each item, every thread of clothing, every forgotten corner of your home bears an imprint of what was felt in its presence. Happiness, pain, doubt, love, it all lingers. That energetic trace does not simply vanish once the moment has passed. It settles. It remains. A present given by one who broke your trust. A mirror with a hairline crack you never got around to fixing. A picture that gives you a faint feeling of disquiet, kept only for its monetary value. Such objects carry a discordant presence, an energy that has lost its flow, and when your personal space holds this discord, your mind naturally reflects it. Gently, imperceptibly, you begin to feel uncentered. You lose your sharpness. You begin to operate from a place of reaction, not from a foundation of peace. The way of nature teaches us this. When the outer world is in disharmony, the inner world is inevitably disturbed. A turbulent energy field around you is not a passive thing. It holds up a mirror to a part of you. This is why paying attention to these objects is not about superstition. It is a profound act of self-knowing. It requires asking, for what reason do I keep this? Which part of me is still attached to this story? Often, we bind ourselves to the past by carefully preserving its relics. That is how a simple shelf can become a monument to old hurts. That is how your own room can begin to whisper insecurities into your dreams. It is for this reason that practitioners of stillness are taught to keep few possessions, and only those which elevate or clarify the spirit, not because things themselves are bad, but because energy is a fundamental truth. Your home is not merely a structure you inhabit. It is a direct extension of your own field of being. What you choose to surround yourself with will, in turn, shape you. What you give permission to stay ultimately stays within you. Not all disquiet makes its entrance through the doorway. Sometimes, it has a quiet seat on your furniture, a sculpture with harsh, aggressive lines, a traditional mask frozen in an expression of anguish, a work of art that feels saturated with melancholy. These items can appear captivating, even artistically important, but in the deep quiet of the evening, they vibrate with something else. Not from a haunting, but because symbols have a voice and their language speaks to your deeper consciousness long before your thinking mind translates it. In ancient traditions, symbols were handled with immense respect. A simple brushstroke on parchment could stand for the heavens, for discipline, or for passage from this life. The wise understood that what you surround yourself with enters your being, repeatedly, silently, until it molds your very thoughts without seeking your consent. You might not perceive this initially, a sense of unease as you walk past a specific area, an inability to fully relax in one part of your home. This is the way of subtle energies, tiny influences over time that feed a quiet tension, the unseen roots of an anxiety that appears to have no cause. Mastery of self is not only found in grand efforts or impressive skills. It has its origins in what you permit into your personal space, and for what reason. True discipline means being ruthlessly honest about the energy you choose to live alongside, especially when it is a simple decorative object. Perhaps most importantly then, if an artifact stirs even a hint of discomfort, its rarity or the length of your ownership is irrelevant. The deeper self is asking you to choose tranquility over ownership, to release, without fear or nostalgia, that which is no longer in harmony. Because as you let go of symbols that speak a language of disquiet, your spirit finds room to breathe again. The silence in your home becomes gentle, the shadows feel less defined, and your space is reborn. It is no longer just a dwelling, but a training ground for clarity, for presence, and for inner fortitude. Certain objects possess a gravity that no scale could ever detect. A diary from a chapter of your life you would prefer not to revisit. A present from a connection that has since dissolved. A credential for a path you began but did not complete. These things might appear benign, hidden away in closets or stacked in a study, yet their existence communicates not with sound, but with memory, with sensation. In the silent undertow of the past, the discipline of awareness starts here, not merely with your breath or your body's posture, but with the world you build around yourself. Every single thing you own carries a resonance. When it is tied to a feeling of regret, that resonance becomes a cycle. Each time you glance at it, however unconsciously, a message is sent. You did not succeed. You fell short. You let it slip away. And a piece of you remains frozen there, re-examining, struggling, caught in the loop. Mindfulness does not ask you to erase your history. It asks that you bring it to completion. And completion is not about altering what occurred. It is about transforming your energetic relationship to it. At times, this may require visiting it again with courage. At other times, it means simply letting it go without a grand gesture. To hold on to artifacts from broken chapters of your life is to keep yourself anchored in stories you have already moved beyond. This is how a kind of emotional dust can accumulate in your life. Once enough of it has gathered, even moving forward feels difficult. The journey of self-mastery is not only defined by what you accumulate, it is also defined by what you find the strength to set down. An old photograph, a bundle of letters, a box kept under your bed. If it carries the weight of regret, you must ask, is this lifting me up or is it holding me in place? There is incredible strength in the act of release. There is profound clarity in the act of closure. And often, peace is found not by mending the past, but by no longer feeling the need to carry its fragments. This completion generates new space. That space allows for presence, and presence is the soil where your true power grows. The room can be perfectly still, yet your mind continues to race, not from an audible voice, but from the persistent glow of a screen, a cascade of notifications, an array of open tabs, and dialogues left unfinished, algorithms suggesting thoughts you never intended to have. This represents the new form of clutter. It is polished, digital, and has no end. In times past, disturbances arrived from clear sources. An elevated voice, a jarring sound, a disagreement that still hung in the air. Today, the noise is hushed but relentless. You scroll, you swipe, you refresh. Every movement scatters your vital energy, disrupts the cadence of your breathing, and pulls you away from the present moment. Timeless wisdom traditions teach us about stillness not as a lack of motion, but as power held in a tranquil state. When your focus is consistently broken, your energy begins to seep away. You may not perceive it at first, but with time, a deep weariness can grow. Your ability to concentrate diminishes. Your sleep loses its restorative quality. Your body holds a tension it cannot explain. The screen is not just consuming your hours, it is consuming your center. Creating a mindful separation is a form of discipline, a sacred interruption, not for the purpose of rejecting the modern world, but to reclaim your inner territory from it. To consciously declare, "Now I am returning to myself." Leave your device in a separate room. Perhaps light a stick of incense. Simply breathe. Even a brief 10 minutes without a screen can alter your energetic field. You will start to notice your own subtle presence return. It is slow, it is grounded, it is steady. Your breath will find its natural depth. Your thoughts will lose their frantic pace. You will be able to hear your own inner voice once more. This is not an act of escape. It is a reset. A warrior does not sharpen their sword in the midst of battle, but in silence. You sharpen your own presence by intentionally stepping away from the constant noise. What you allow to fill your gaze will inevitably fill your spirit. Choose this with great care, because peace is not a state you accidentally discover. It is a space you create by being mindful of what you welcome in and what you gently place aside. Your clothing holds memories the conscious mind attempts to file away. A bracelet worn throughout a heated conflict. A sweater from a period when you felt overcome by self-doubt. A pendant you held tightly while a difficult emotion coursed through you. These items may feel comfortable, but not always truly serene. They have made contact with your skin during moments of high emotional charge, and whether you were aware of it or not, they have absorbed that charge. From a place of deep awareness, we understand that objects absorb energy, most especially those worn close to the body. Natural fibers are porous, not just to moisture and fragrance, but to emotional states. Anger radiates a certain heat. Grief has a palpable density. These qualities do not simply evaporate when the feeling subsides. They become imprinted into the things you wear. They remain, and then at a later time, you wear that same piece again, and a subtle change occurs. You may feel a bit on edge, heavy, or quick to react for no discernible reason. The cause is not the color or the style. It is the energetic memory captured within the fibers. This is the foundation of why purifying rituals are found in spiritual practices worldwide. They are not only for physical spaces, but also for garments, implements, and adornments. The aim is to clear what has been left behind, to restore a state of purity to what has been touched by intense experience. You can perform this with something as simple as water and clear intention. A washing with awareness, a bit of salt in the water, a moment of silent focus. You can also choose to release the item entirely, to pass it on, or even to transform it with fire if its weight feels too significant. The path of mastery demands an awareness of these small, subtle details. This is not born from fear, but from a profound respect for the energetic field that you cultivate. When you consciously cleanse the things that touch your body, you also clear the resonance of old reactions. You create a return to a neutral state, and in that stillness, your own presence becomes more refined. Your spirit feels lighter, the past loosens its hold, and the journey before you feels more expansive and more completely your own. Some things are handed down with more than just a gesture, a timepiece from a parent who could never express their inner world, a piece of jewelry from a relative who carried a silent sadness, an artwork given by someone whose smile never quite reached their eyes. Such objects are vessels for more than their physical form. They carry the burden of stories left unresolved. Energy is not confined by physical bodies. It flows through memory, through emotion, and into the material world. When another person gives you something, particularly while they are carrying unresolved pain, that object can become a container, a quiet receptacle for what was never brought to healing. You may not be aware of the complete story. You may not have to be, but sometimes you can sense it. a feeling of weight when you put on the ring, a subtle internal resistance to displaying that artwork, a gentle but persistent discomfort. It is nothing overt, but it is enough to make you feel ungrounded. Ancient insight reminds us that mere ownership is without meaning. What is truly important is resonance and clear intention. If an object was created or given from a place of love, its energy is uplifting. If it was born from anxiety, obligation, or emotional turmoil, it has the potential to cloud your personal space. This is not to suggest that all heirlooms are problematic. But it does mean you must learn to listen with more than your ears. Objects communicate in stillness. They pose a silent question. Do I truly belong here with you now, or am I asking to be set free? There is no dishonor in letting something go. You can offer thanks for the journey it has taken, and then return an object to the earth, to a transformative fire, or to another's care who might resonate with it differently. Or you can choose to keep it, but to consciously cleanse it through mindful practice, by giving it new meaning, and by infusing it with your own breath. You are not meant to be a storehouse for the unresolved energies of others. Your home, your body, and your personal field must be a true reflection of your own journey. That requires discernment, not just of what you choose to accept, but of what you choose to continue holding. Peace arises from selecting what surrounds you with utmost clarity, with true alignment, and with your complete presence. Not every burden appears heavy at first glance. Some are buffed to a high shine, hung in ornate frames, and protected behind glass. A cabinet overflowing with collectible treasures. A living space arranged more for public admiration than for personal tranquility. Costly acquisitions selected not for their inherent meaning, but for what their price conveys. These are the quiet architects of our inner turmoil. They are beautiful, they are praised, yet they can be subtly destabilizing. In the way of wisdom, the external world mirrors the internal, and an excess of anything, even an excess of beauty, can itself become a form of noise. An overabundance of things awakens the desire for more. It nourishes the part of our awareness that is never content, the part that endlessly measures, vies for position, and is always seeking the next acquisition. You might enter such a room and feel a sense of unease without understanding its source. There is little tranquility in a space built to project an image of success. It vies for your focus. It whispers endless questions. Have I acquired enough? Am I perceived as enough? What are others thinking of me? This is not a stance against material well-being. A truly mastered spirit has no fear of abundance. It is, however, a caution against the nature of obsession and the trap of attachment. When your sense of self becomes woven into the objects you own, your spirit has no choice but to shrink to fit their confines. Simplicity, by powerful contrast, is an open invitation to stillness. A single, well-made bowl in its perfect place. A living plant tended to with gentle care. An uncluttered wall that gives your mind the space it needs to expand. These are not symbols of scarcity. They are declarations of presence. Discipline is the art of choosing what truly supports your vital energy, not what simply polishes your public image. A quiet room is not a dead room. It is vibrant with unspoken potential. And as you release the compulsion to be seen as a success, you begin to truly feel successful with a calm, centered, and unshakable foundation. The more you consciously remove what serves as a distraction, the more vivid your perception of what is essential becomes. And in that emerging clarity, peace is no longer an objective you must chase. It simply becomes the way that you exist. Even objects of devotion have their seasons. A holder for incense with a chip along its side, a protective charm that fractured during a challenging time, a sacred text with words now worn away, its edges curled with age. These were once potent companions on your path, used with heartfelt attention and placed with purpose. But through the passage of time, they have become faint echoes. No longer vibrant with an active presence, they are now mere symbols, tired and overlooked. In places of deep learning, students are guided to handle their spiritual implements with profound respect, but never with fear. An object that is broken is not the bearer of a curse. But if it is left neglected, unused, and without care, its energy shifts from something sacred to something stagnant. Its essential purpose begins to dissolve. The very thing that once called you to return to your center now fades into the visual noise, a part of the room's decor, not a part of your living practice. True reverence is not found in clinging to things. It is found in honoring the great cycle. There is creation, then use, then completion, and finally release. It is very easy to hold on to these items through pure sentiment. This was from my very first journey inward. This was with me through a difficult passage. But once their vital energy has dimmed, they are no longer serving their function. And keeping them becomes a form of spiritual weight. It is subtle, but it is real. Letting go of what has served its purpose does not disrespect your journey. It deeply affirms it. It is a declaration. I am grateful. I am different now. I am open to what is waiting for me next. Discipline is alive in how you care for your own practice, even in the smallest gestures, cleansing an altar, respectfully retiring a faded symbol, lighting incense with your full attention. You are shaping your own energetic field. Spiritual tools are not meant to become permanent relics. They are designed to support your evolution, and then to gracefully step aside when their work is complete. When your space contains only that which is alive with purpose and meaning, it transforms into a perfect reflection of your own path, clear, in motion, and awake. And in such a space, your practice ceases to be a ritual of habit and becomes a living, breathing testament to the person you are actually becoming. Energy does not only reside where you place your focus, it also pools where you forget to look, a part of your home you rarely go into. A cupboard that has not been opened for a full season, a forgotten corner where dust settles on old containers and tangled cables. These areas might seem to be of no consequence, hidden from view, and therefore absent from your thoughts. But your own presence flows through your entire environment, and whatever you choose to ignore does not cease to exist. It simply settles and grows still. Timeless wisdom teaches that your physical surroundings are a direct extension of your mind. In the same way that stress in your body can hide away in muscles you rarely notice, tension in your home can gather in the spaces you neglect. These become pockets of dense, stagnant energy, a life force that is obstructed, contained, and heavy. Take a slow walk through your home one day, not with the intention to clean, but with the intention to simply see. Observe the places where your breath might tighten, or where your gaze naturally skips over. These are important signals. The body can perceive what the eyes no longer register. The purpose here is not about forcing every inch of your space into perfection. It is about making every part of it intentional, even the most fundamental action, a carefully swept floor, a thoughtfully folded piece of cloth, allowing a ray of sunlight to touch a dark place, can change the entire feeling of a space. By choosing to ignore a space, you create a distance within yourself. By restoring your presence to it, you restore that connection. This is its own form of training, not in large, dramatic movements, but in quiet, steady discipline. You invite life back into your environment by bringing your full attention back to it. There is no need for a grand renovation, only care, only noticing. Each area you consciously reclaim becomes a part of your own consciousness, returning to a state of clarity. Every single cleared corner becomes a powerful statement. No part of me is to be left in shadow. Every part of me deserves to be seen. True mastery is forged in these countless small, unseen moments, where the act of sweeping becomes a tool for stillness, where settled dust becomes a teacher of impermanence, and where your home is gently transformed into a mirror of the profound balance you are choosing to live by. Your home has a voice if you can learn to move slowly enough to listen. Every room contains its own unique cadence. Some feel like they flow, like pristine water. Others can feel constricted, sharp, or weighed down. These subtle feelings are very easy to overlook when your life is rushed, but when you choose to walk with gentle awareness, they make themselves known. A certain threshold that always makes you hesitate. A specific chair where you never feel truly at rest. This is energy itself communicating. It is not superstition, it is simply heightened sensitivity. The path of inner practice teaches not only how to move with grace, but how to perceive a space, to sense where its vitality flows freely and where it feels obstructed. You do not need any special instruments, only your own presence. Begin with your breath. Let it be slow, let it be even. Allow your feet to make contact with the floor, as if for the very first time. Step into each of your rooms with a quiet and open attention. What is it that you perceive? The quality of the air, the feeling of the silence, the way that the light lands on certain forms. If something feels amiss, honor that feeling. You can light a single stick of incense, not as an empty rite, but as an act of reset. Observe the smoke as it ascends. Allow it to find its way into the corners. You can speak simple, grounding words that bring clarity. I now release what no longer serves. I welcome a sense of peace into this space. These seemingly small actions are profoundly important. They have the power to shift the energetic field, not just in the room around you, but deep within you. Your nervous system will respond. Your thoughts will soften. Your breath will rediscover its natural depth. This is a form of daily spiritual hygiene, not just for your home, but for yourself. Discipline is not only found in complex martial stances. It is found in the way you open a curtain, in the pause you take before crossing a threshold, in your conscious choice of calm over clutter. A home that is cleansed with presence becomes far more than just a shelter. It becomes a partner on your journey, a quiet and steadfast ally, and a perfect mirror for your own inner state. And when your space is truly calm, your spirit has a place to finally land, to find rest, and to begin anew. When you thoughtfully remove what brings disturbance to your space, you are not merely organizing a house. You are engaged in the practice of clarity. You are making a quiet, powerful decision. I will no longer carry that which separates me from my own peace. This practice is not rooted in superstition. It is an expression of self-mastery in its most fundamental form. This is because the things we choose to keep are never just ornaments. They are clear reflections of what we truly hold valuable, of what we actively try to avoid, and of where we are still holding on. The path of inner discovery does not ask for elaborate ceremonies. It asks for a daily, wakeful awareness, a serene eye, a steady hand, and the courage to release, over and over, until only that which is in true alignment remains. Therefore, walk through your own home as if it were a sacred space, not with a sense of apprehension, but with profound care. Allow your own discipline to give shape to your surroundings, and in turn, allow your surroundings to remind you of the person you are in the process of becoming. Thank you for walking this path of awareness with us. If this has helped bring you clarity, subscribe to our channel and remain close. We will walk this journey together in quietness, in strength, one step at a time.